What's up, guys? So in this video I want to talk about the second reception that Elvis had for his wedding, and it was at Graceland. It was at the end of May, about 1 month after Elvis's actual wedding date. I want to talk about the events that led up to it and the drama that actually happened because of this. Now, Elvis's friends, most of them weren't at his wedding and wedding reception, most notably Red West and Sonny West, and that caused a big rift between them. So the story takes place basically at the end of 1966. At the end of 1966, Elvis proposed to Priscilla, and Elvis, a lot of reports say, and a lot of Elvis fans aren't going to want to hear this, but Elvis didn't want to marry Priscilla, okay? The Colonel was putting a lot of pressure on Elvis, saying either marry her or cut her loose because this is going to look bad. Priscilla was living at Graceland since 1962, so it had been almost 5 years that she was living with Elvis, and Colonel was saying, hey, this isn't going to look good if you let this go on too much longer. And, maybe he was giving him some good advice, but Elvis, no doubt felt pressure because for whatever reason you may want to say, Elvis didn't want to go through with the marriage. He didn't want to marry her. Maybe they would have separated, but Elvis wasn't into it. And also reports say that Priscilla's dad was threatening Elvis that he's going to go to the press and say, you took my daughter who was underage across state lines and you didn't live up to what you promised me. And what the promise was is that Elvis wanted to marry Priscilla, have her come with me to Memphis. She'll stay at a different house, at a different place, go to a Catholic school, but that didn't happen. Now, Priscilla did go to a Catholic school, but she stayed at Graceland with Elvis. And according to Priscilla and all other reports, they were never intimate. Elvis wanted her to stay a virgin until marriage, and they got married when she was 21. So the Colonel arranged quickly for a wedding to take place on May 1st, 1967. So they got engaged at the end of 66 around Christmas time, and 5 months later they were getting married in Las Vegas. The Colonel arranged it all, and that's probably one of the reasons why Red and Sonny weren't there, and some of Elvis' close family and friends that he had since he was a child. Colonel wanted a private wedding, which Elvis did also, and a lot of the people that Elvis grew up with and they were close with didn't make it. Now, Red was told supposedly that he was invited, but for whatever reason Red wasn't able to get in, and so Red was obviously hurt, Sonny was hurt, and others. And a little detail I want to add before I get to this wedding reception that was held at Graceland to kind of pacify his friends and family who weren't able to make it was Elvis's cook. Her name was Alberta. She knew Elvis's mom, Gladys, and went way back with Elvis. And she tells a story about how she was at Graceland and found Elvis crying about the wedding that was coming about because he felt pressured that he had to go through with it. And she says that she told Elvis, if you feel this way, why don't you cancel it? You need to cancel it. And he says, you don't understand. I have no choice. I have to go through with it. And, a lot of Elvis fans don't like hearing this stuff. They'll say it's a lie, but that's, what she said. And all reports say that, Elvis just did not want to go through with this. Maybe he would have later on, but at that moment in time, he wasn't marrying her and didn't want to, according to all first-hand accounts of the people that were there. Now, Red and Sonny weren't there, as I mentioned earlier. Elvis's best men were Joe Esposito and Marty Lacker. And Red's like, hey, how are they going to be your best? Like, I knew you since high school. And it caused a big split between them. And you could maybe make a case for saying some of these events, like maybe that started, with this wedding reception and not being at the wedding, these events could have led to them making that tell-all book in 1977, Elvis, What Happened. Not that I think they're justified in doing it, but some of these events could be leading up to that, and the resentment that they felt I guess it was never resolved, and having the second wedding reception didn't make them feel any better. They both felt hurt. They held a grudge. Like I said, Red West quit on Elvis over this matter. Obviously, he came back to work for him, but Red was extremely hurt and offended. So Elvis and Priscilla had a second wedding reception on May 29th back at Graceland for all the family and friends that couldn't make it, and maybe it was too far or they weren't invited, but wanted to be there. And, you know, you could blame Elvis for this. You could blame the Colonel for this. I blame both, but I lean a little towards Colonel, and this is the reason why. Colonel wanted a private wedding, as did Elvis. He only had a few press members there for the reception, you know, just to take some pictures. You know, they had MGM cameramen there, 2 of them, to take some pictures and just document it, you know, for the press. But they wanted something very private. And then after that first reception, May 1st, they had a breakfast for the people that were there, and a very expensive breakfast, I might add. I think it was like $10,000. And so then Elvis and Priscilla fly away to Palm Springs for the honeymoon. They get back May 4th, and at the end of that month, they have that second wedding reception at Graceland. You can tell which pictures are the second wedding reception because Elvis's hair is a little different. It's a little more down in his face, and all the pictures are a little darker because it's held inside Graceland. But I lean a little bit more towards the Colonel because, as many of you know, Elvis didn't like confrontation. He was a tough guy. He knew what he wanted, but he didn't really like to rock the boat. He didn't like to ruffle feathers. And Colonel Parker was a very tough, intimidating type of guy, from what I've learned. And Elvis didn't want to challenge him. Now, you can blame Elvis because, Elvis, you're a grown man. You could have had your friends there. If you didn't want to get married, you shouldn't have. And, you know, we can all understand the pressure that Elvis was under. You know, you're going to go to the press and say some things that are true and, you know, embellish some things and also say some things that were false. I'm sure you know how people are. And Mr. Beaulieu wanted his daughter to marry Elvis and, you know, get that family name, which Priscilla has kept all these years. And, you know, Elvis, he should have stood up for what he wanted. But at the same time, Colonel knew Elvis's vulnerabilities and did things as he wanted them. Colonel didn't want a huge entourage around Elvis. Colonel wanted to keep people and other influences away from Elvis. So it just makes sense that Colonel, I believe, you know, maybe slighted some people in this process. But Elvis should have stuck up for what he wanted and what his friends wanted, or maybe he just didn't want him there. But it's hard to tell from, you know, all the different info and facts that we have. But that's what happened. They held a second wedding reception. Obviously, Red came back to work for him and Sonny as well. But you know, some of those hurts never healed. And so that was the point of this video. I wanted to let you know about the second wedding reception that not too many people know about. I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers that have subscribed recently to Elvis is the Man channel here on YouTube, and all the people who have been with me from day one. Thank you for watching these videos, and I like reading your comments. And leave your comments down below. Tell me what you think about the situation. Add some things to it. I like to hear what you say and respond and read your comments as well. This is a little known fact in the Elvis world that Elvis had this second reception just to appease some family and friends and you know, smooth out those troubled waters. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It helps to grow the channel so we can let other Elvis fans know these important and interesting details of Elvis's life.